Guys, hope all of us are doing great. My name is Ernest, and this is Ernest Sciences and Mathematics TV channel. So today we are going to look at the major components and functions of the nervous system. Now, we had mentioned in some of our videos that basically our earlier videos that the human body is made up of different types of systems, and this basically in collaboration with one another forms a complex and elaborate way of trying to sustain the overall concept of our life. Now, in this particular section, we're going to look at one of the systems. Now, in some of our videos, we have looked at the concept of the circulatory, the gaseous exchange system, the support system, and of course, we have also looked at the endocrine system. Now, in this specific video, we're going to look at the components of the central nervous and the peripheral nervous system. And the two broader sections, of course, are going to form the human nervous system in that specific order. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to look at general functions of the nervous system. And in our subsequent videos, we're going to look at basic, of course, functions of each and every aspect of this central nervous and the peripheral nervous system that I've mentioned. Now, to achieve that, we are going to use this illustration that I've given on my display. And of course, it is rather detailed, but I'm going to try my best and see that we have just elaborated on the various aspects that I've mentioned. Now, the human nervous system is broadly divided into two main divisions, and that is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, as we're going to see. Now, from my illustration, we can be able, perhaps I can expand on this specific display so that we can be able to check on those various aspects of these two broader division for the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Now, I hope that one is legible for now. So we can see from this specific part that the human nervous system is divided broadly into these two specific categories. Now we have the central nervous system, of course, which is abbreviated as CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, which is abbreviated as PNS from specific discussion that I've mentioned. Now, there are various functions that we're going to see in an overall form which are being performed by this nervous system. And one of the main functions is to, of course, gather information from in and outside the body. And this specific function, as we're going to see later, is being described as the sensory function. Now, of course, we're going to see other functions being played by the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And this is going to entail the processing of information, of course, in the brain and the spinal cord, as we're going to see. And overall, it's going to constitute what we refer to as the integration function. And of course, we're going to also see that there's going to be a third function, which is going to constitute a motor function, which is sending information to various parts of the muscles of the body and the glands and different organs, as we're going to see in a different display. Now, this sending of information is going to receive a feedback, and that feedback is going to be one of the major ways in which the body is going to rely in order to perform various functions, as we're going to see later. And this is going to constitute our homeostatic functions and other functions which are very essential in order to support the concept of life. Now, I'm going to use these various sections of my display, but of course, I'm going to look at the major divisions of this specific section of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous or the peripheral nervous system in order to, of course, try to elaborate on its various functions. Now, for the body to communicate between the external and the internal environment, we're going to see that there are some structures which are going to detect changes in the external environment and internal environment, and we basically refer to these specific structures as receptors. And of course, they receive information from the internal and external environment. Therefore, whenever we're going to mention this particular concept of receptors, we are going to refer to these specific structures. Now, these specific structures can be categorized in various forms, as we are going to see from these three basic categories of somatic sensory receptors and the spatial sensory receptors. For somatic sensory receptors, these are going to provide, of course, the sense of position, touch, pressure, pain, and temperature sensation. And of course, we're going to see them later being given in a different, of course, a visual display. So we're also going to look at the visceral sensory receptors, which are going to monitor internal organs within the body and, of course, provide information on the same. Now, for spatial sensory receptors are going to provide a sensation of course, of the smell, taste, and vision. And perhaps in sometimes we're going to see the concept of balance and hearing being one of the major factors of these spatial sensory receptors. Now, in this particular division of the peripheral nervous system, which is going to bring information. This is going to be receiving information from the receptors in the peripheral tissues and organs, which are contained in various parts of the body. Now, in this particular case as well, as I've said, from these two basic categories for the CNS and PNS, now I'm just using this specific, of course, these initials. Now we can see that the peripheral nervous system is going to constitute of all the neural tissues outside the central nervous system. Now from this basic structure for the body that I've given, the whitish part is going to constitute the central nervous system, while the yellowish part, which is basically some branches of now, in this specific case, we can generally give the function of the central nervous system as, of course, a center where there's a coordination of information, which include, of course, integrating, processing, and of course, giving some sensory and motor commands. And of course, this is going to be just like a processing unit of the body, whereby we're going to see this dissemination and coordination of this specific information. Sorry, sorry for that. So therefore, this process is going to constitute information processing, and of course, which is going to include integration and distribution of information within this central nervous system. Now, this information is relayed into the peripheral nervous system, and this of course is going to be the motor division of the peripheral nervous system, of course, which carries motor commands to the central nervous system from the central of the carries motor commands from the central nervous system to the peripheral tissues and systems that we're going to see in the body. Now, as we said about the somatic and sensory, in this particular case, we're going to have the somatic nervous system, which is going to control muscles during the process of contractions and, of course, relaxation. And of course, we're also going to see that under this specific division of motor commands, we're going to have the autonomic nervous system that is going to automatically regulate, involve in a regulation of muscles and cardiac glands and adipose tissues in that specific order. So in that particular case, then therefore, we're going to have effector organs whose activity is going to change in response to the information that they have received from the central from this specific nervous system that we have said of somatic and autonomic nervous systems respectively. Now, overall, these particular processes are going to contribute towards the successful working of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system in that collaborative way. So this is going to entail the overall functions of this nervous system in humans. And as I said, of course, this has been given in a rather compacted way. But in subsequent videos, I'm going to use different displays in order to elaborate on the various aspects that I've mentioned in this particular phases for the two PNS and the CNS respectively. So catch us in our next videos. We're going to look at in an exclusive way those various functions, and of course that is going to assist us comprehend more. And as I exit, of course, I'd like to request our members to check on the comment section and also our description boxes for various links of other videos that we have done on a similar topic. So that is it for now, guys. Bye. God bless you. Catch us in our next video.